Gurubhyo Namaha, Shubhodaya and good morning. A very warm welcome to everyone to today's symposium on philosophical contributions of Sri Madhusudana Saraswati Mahaswamiji. This is Nitin Sridhar, Director of Indica Moksha. Let me begin with a prayer. Vakratunda Mahakaya Koti Surya Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा ॐ जयन्ती मङ्गलाकाली भद्रकाली कपालिनी दुर्गा क्षमा शिवा धात्री स्वाहा स्वधा नमोऽस्तु ते ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओम्. Once again, a very warm welcome to everyone. We are very pleased to organize this symposium on the works and legacy and philosophical contributions of Sri Madhusudana Saraswati Swamiji, one of the greatest Hindu philosopher, an intellectual giant who walked on the sacred bhumi of Bharatavarsha. Regarding his profound scholarship, there is a very famous saying, Madhusudana Saraswatyaha param veti saraswati, param veti saraswatyaha Madhusudana Saraswati. Only Saraswati, the goddess of learning and knowledge, she knows the limits of knowledge of Madhusudana Saraswati, and Madhusudana Saraswati knows the limits of Saraswati, that is knowledge. I think there can be no bigger tribute to the Panditya, to the both the Jnana and Vijnana of Sri Madhusudana Saraswati Mahaswami. Before we begin our today's symposium with the talks by various Vidwans and scholars, let me give a brief overview of life and prominent works of Sri Madhusudana Saraswati. He was born in Ushniya village in Bengal around 1540 CE. His pre-sannyasa name, Purvashrama name was Kamalanayana, and later when he was initiated into sannyasa by his guru Swami Vishweshwara Saraswati Swamigal, he was given the monastic name of Madhusudana. Madhusudana Saraswati's early education was guided by his father, Pramoda Purandara Acharya, a Samskrita Pandita. He then furthered his studies primarily in Navya Nyaya under the prominent teachers of that time such as Hariram Tarkavagish and Mathuranath Tarkavagish in Navadvip. And he had earned great fame in his Nyaya scholarship. Later, he moved to Varanasi where he studied Advaita Vedanta and eventually took sannyasa. Madhusudana Saraswati's philosophical and literary contributions are very vast, with more than 21 works attributed to him. His most notable works defend and enunciate and defend Advaita Siddhanta, addressing the criticisms of the opponents, primarily the Dvaita school. Additionally, his works also focuses on bhakti and blends bhakti into Vedanta, harmonizing Bhakti Yoga and Jnana Yoga. Some of his very prominent works include Advaita Siddhi, Advaita Manjari, Advaita Ratna Rakshana, Vedanta Kalpalatika, Bhagavad Bhakti Rasayana, Bhakti Samanya Nirupana, and many others. And among them, his magnum opus is, of course, Advaita Siddhi, one of the most wonderful work written, a line by line, verse by verse response to another great work, Nyayamrita by Vyasatirtha. And Advaita Siddhi is notable also because it integrates Navya Nyaya argumentation methodology into the Advaita system. And among his Bhakti works, Bhagavad Bhakti Rasayana is particularly significant because in this work, Madhusudana Saraswati ji not only establishes Bhakti as an independent rasa, but he also makes a strong case for Bhakti as Parama Purushartha. And apart from these independent works, Madhusudana Saraswati is also known for his commentaries, very deep and wide-ranging commentaries. Prominent among them is, of course, the Gudhartha Deepika on Bhagavad Gita, where he reveals in great depth the intricate relationships between the Jnana, Bhakti, Karma, and Yoga. Another important commentary is Siddhanta Bindu on Shankaracharya's Dashashloki. There are other commentaries such as Shandilya Sutra Tika, Shiva Mahimna Stotra Tika, and many others. In short, Sri Madhusudana Saraswati Swami's contributions to Vedanta and Bhakti are immense, and his works continue to inspire and guide scholars and spiritual seekers to this day. So, we are immensely blessed to have this opportunity to curate this symposium and to listen to various Shastra Vidwans and seekers who would be speaking on the different aspects of Sri Madhusudana Saraswati Swami's works. We will now, with this very brief overview of life and works of Swami, we will now begin our symposium with the inaugural talk by my senior colleague and Kulapati of Indica, Sri Nagaraj Paturi ji. Nagaraj ji, thank you for accepting the invitation for the inaugural talk. Just before I open the floor to you, a brief introduction for the sake of the audience. Sri Nagaraj ji is trained in Samskrita and Advaita Vedanta by his hyper polyglot, polymath, and spiritually accomplished Sakala Shastra Parangata father, late Sri Paturi Sitaramanjaneyulu Garu. Dr. Nagaraj Paturi ji is seriously committed to the transmission of Vedic sciences to present generation. In his PhD thesis, he developed an Indic model of myth criticism of literature, and in his MPhil, he foregrounded Vakyapadiya as the theoretical foundation of Ashtadhyayi. In addition to over 50 publications and about 60 conference and workshop papers, Dr. Paturiji has designed several courses pertaining to contemporary applications of Vedic sciences and has successfully taught them at various universities. He's formerly senior professor of cultural studies, Flame School of Communications, and a visiting professor at the University of Chicago. And he's currently the Vice Chancellor, Kulapati of Indica. He is also he's in the executive committee member of the Board of Studies of MIT School of Vedic Sciences, Pune. He is member Board of Studies at Kavikulaguru Kalidasa Samskrita University in Ramtech, and he is also the editor-in-chief of the International Journals of Studies in Public Leadership and is a member of Advisory Council of Veda Vijnana Shodha Samsthana, Bengaluru. He has provided consultancy to numerous cultural research, theatre and dance innovation projects. He has authored scores of creative writing works for classical dance, modern theatre and magazines, and has delivered several series of talks and other programs on radio and television channels. Again, warm welcome to you, sir. Please request you to go ahead and deliver your inaugural talk.
Namaste. Indica in general and Indica Moksha in particular have the good fortune of organizing these series of symposiums. We have two formats of events, conferences and symposiums. Conference is an event where paper presenters selected from their abstract proposals are selected, and we include a few invited speakers also. But symposiums include only invited speakers. We have specially invited speakers. So this is a symposium. So it is an event where distinguished scholars are invited by us as invited speakers. And we are fortunate today to have chosen from the platform of Indica Moksha, director of which is Nitin Sridhar Avaru. From that platform, we have been organizing several symposiums. Particularly, Nitin Sridhar Avaru has chosen a series on various Advaita Vedanta colossal giant contributors. Earlier, there were symposiums about Appaya Dikshitendra, Vachaspati Mishra, Sureshwaracharya. A series of talks on all these giants in Advaita Vedanta have been organized. In that chronological order, Madhusudana Saraswati Swami is comparatively recent. So today we are so fortunate that we have come to do a puja to Madhusudana Saraswati in the form of this symposium, through which we will be doing our own Aradhana puja to Madhusudana Saraswati by doing a redemption of Rishi Runa. Rishis like Madhusudana Saraswati have brought out nuggets of knowledge, monies, ratnas, and pearls of knowledge from the ocean of knowledge. And they have given it to us out of a great karuna. And it is our responsibility to repay and redeem the anugraha, the karuna that they have shown towards us by bringing out these great nuggets of knowledge. Fortunately, we have an entire lineage of Shastra scholars. You are able to see our own Vachaspati Shastri Joshi ji in front of us. A few more such scholars are going to join. And that Shastric learning tradition is continuing intact with a rigor, if not more than what it used to be in the beginning. For the general world, there is an impression that, there is always this mood of lamentation. This is lost, that is lost. We have lost that tradition, this tradition. But when you watch the speakers of today's symposium, you will realize that that Shastra scholarship is not lost the way it is imagined. We have wonderful, rigorous scholars who are continuing their learning of Shastras, and they are doing both Adhyayana and Adhyapana. They are continuing their learning. In Vedic tradition, teaching is always described with the Avyaya Saha. Ramena Sahapathati. If Rama is the Acharya and Krishna is the Shishya, Krishna Ramena Sahapathati is the way it is described. And that word saha is used in a very big number of mantras where adhyayana and adhyapana are described. So there is no adhyapana without adhyayana in Vaidika parampara. Every acharya, every guru does his adhyayana every day through his adhyapana. And this adhyayana adhyapana is continuing through Vakyartha Sadas tradition also. Shastrasthas are happening, very rigorous discussions keep happening. And all these Shastra scholars gathered at one place, they argue among themselves in a very systematic way. A proposition is made, a Purva Paksha is presented. Purva Paksha can be a real present Purva Paksha or a hypothetical Purva Paksha also. And a Khandana of that is done and a Siddhanta is put forward. All this rigorous method of presenting a position is still continuing in the Shastra tradition. Today, I want to focus on one new development in the Indian education system that has happened because of the starting of a division under Ministry of Education called Indic Knowledge Systems Division or Indian Knowledge Systems Division under the headship of Professor Ganti Suryanarayana Murthy garu. This is a game-changing decision taken by Government of India. I say game-changing because this IKS activity was well before the starting of this division. For example, I myself designed and started an entire undergraduate course of Vedic psychology several years before this division was started. I started an MSc program in psychology and a PhD program in psychology when Professor Sai Susarla was the dean at MIT ADT University in Pune. Even before this development, our starting of that course, there were activities like Indian psychology program that was started by Anand Paranjapeji. A website was started where all the repository of articles on Indian psychology were being deposited. Indica, in fact, is going to organize a full conference towards the last week of March, 21st and 22nd of March, in collaboration with this IKS division in Delhi, where we are going to show through our papers, presentations, and invited speeches that the IKS activity was not just with the IKS division that is started now. It started way back during the colonial period itself. When the British arrived here in India and East India Company was struggling whether to introduce the missionaries here or not because they were business-minded people. Later, missionaries somehow made their way into India. So now there are two agencies. One is the East India Company and the other the missionaries here. Both these, for their own purpose, were attacking the confidence of Indians. Today, in Indian history departments, while dealing with modern Indian history, they talk only about the Renaissance, what they give the word Renaissance for the Reformation movement that was started by people like Swami Dayananda Saraswati, who founded the Arya Samaj, and Raja Ram Mohan Rai, who started the Brahmo Samaj. And they focus only on the social and cultural activities that they conducted, like child marriage being opposed, or widow remarriage being introduced, or women education being introduced, or superstitions being opposed, and all those things. Later, they come to what they call freedom fight, national movement. And there again, the focus is all on political activities, how each uh, freedom fight leader was trying to get the British out of India. Only that. But what is not focused in the contemporary modern Indian history, literature, courses, classes, discussions is that exactly during this period, Indians were responding through their Indian knowledge systems because it was being attacked. People, the Gurukulas were getting closed. Shastra Gurukulas were getting closed. Shastra scholars were disrespected. Missionaries were attacking Shastra scholarship. Missionaries were attacking the indigenous knowledge systems. And industrialization was attacking our knowledge systems, which were being expressed through local manufacturing practices, technologies, and all that. So they had to respond. There was no other go. The Indians were responding. This aspect that Indian knowledge system studies started as a counter to, as a response to the colonial rule is not being highlighted after the IKS division started. It happens always when something starts so newly, sensationally. Now, the impression in all the educational institutes is that, oh, something IKS has come, some new thing has come because this IKS division started. No, IKS division is only building on what has happened already right from the colonial period in the form of a response to the British administration, whether it is East India Company time or later directly under the Crown, uh, it was for its own political purpose was ridiculing Indian knowledge systems. And Indian knowledge systems had to survive through countering and coming up and articulating. That was happening. In the last week of March, during 21st and 22nd in Delhi, Indic Academy is going to highlight all these colonial rule time IKS activities at that time. For those in the audience who would like to know what these IKS courses are doing in the universities, these IKS activities are not just introducing, say, for example, Nyaya. For that, it is already there. There are Gurukulas which are teaching Nyaya already. Why IKS again newly? Or there is a Nyaya department under the Department of Darshanas in a big Sanskrit university already. Why IKS for that? So IKS is not Nyaya teaching, Vyakarana teaching, Vedanta teaching, Mimamsa teaching under an established Sanskrit university or a Sanskrit department of a general university or a philosophy department of a general university. No. Under IK studies, what is happening is we are re-looking at these and we are concentrating on the contemporary applications of this. For example, how Nyaya is useful for artificial intelligence, how Nyaya is useful for natural language processing. And when these artificial intelligence scholars, AI scholars, and others were requiring semantic tagging to various semantic categories in their LLMs while developing LLMs out of the big data that they are collecting. When they came to know that there is something called Navya Nyaya, in which they do avachedaka and avachinnatwas so rigorously that even a very small concept is so meticulously at a micro level analyzed for its artha categories. And each of these categories has got an avacheda and avachinna both. And a scholar very easily makes statements out of statements for this with that rigor. All the AI professionals got surprised and they started dwelling into Navya Nyaya to bring greater efficiency into their LLMs. Earlier, during NLP times, it was all Ashtadhyayi, Ashtadhyayi. When NLP was fashionable, Ashtadhyayi was being invoked every time. But now, recently, one professor contacted me and asked me to introduce her to a Mimamsa scholar who can teach them all the lingas for identifying the meaning of words. Nowadays, all the lingas are indicators for identifying meanings. I introduced her to a scholar in Kanchipuram who completed his Mimamsa studies, and Dongre Veereshwara Shastri Garu, Upa Rama Shastri Garu. He is now in Kanchipuram. I introduced her to him, and now they are getting amazed that the amount of knowledge that the analysis of indicators of meaning that are coming from there is so big that their LLM training itself will now become more rigorous. So when we say Madhusudana Saraswati Swami has contributed to IKS, we don't mean that he was contributing just to Alankara Shastra in the form of his Bhagavad Bhakti Rasa, or he contributed to Advaita Vedanta scholarship through his Advaita Siddhi or Siddhanta Bindu or any of these works. We are going to discuss how that contribution from Madhusudana Saraswati Swami is useful today as an IKS study, IKS activity. That is application of this Shastra to the contemporary life and contemporary applications. By the time Madhusudana Saraswati Swami was composing his work Bhagavad Bhakti Rasayana, lakshyas that are examples of works with bhakti as rasa were already there in a very big number. Right from the beginning, bhakti works were already there. Bhagavata Purana, the entire Mahapurana, is a rasa work, and in its own Pitika part, Bhagavata Purana uses the word rasa. It calls itself as Veda Kalpa Ruksha Vigalitam. And It is inviting all the Rasika Bhava Vidaha. But Rasa was not listed among the Ras. Bhakti was not listed among the Rasas. The 8 Rasas that were highlighted by Bharata were there. Shanta was mentioned by Bharata, but not very much highlighted by him. It was Abhinava Gupta who took Shanta to a higher pedestal of Rasa. And it is there during the discussions by Abhinava Gupta that among the Purusharthas, moksha got connected to Rasa discussion. And the brilliant Abhinava Gupta makes all the remaining 8 rasas as Trivarga related and Shanta as moksha related. So there was already this foundation for bhakti that was happening through Abhinava Gupta's Shanta Rasa discussion. But time was waiting for the time of Madhusudana Saraswati, Rupa Goswami and Jiva Goswami. They were all contemporaries. Actually, Gaudiya Vaishnavas say that Madhusudana Saraswati Swamiji's interest in bhakti comes from their own tradition, Chaitanya. They say that he met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That is why he got interest in bhakti and all that. These are all legends. We do not have any historical evidence for these things. But probably it was a coincidence that exactly during the same period, the books by Rupa Goswami and Jiva Goswami establishing bhakti as rasa, and the book by Madhusudana Saraswati establishing bhakti as rasa were coming out exactly at the same time, but with completely different arguments. Rupa Goswami's argument was a Gaudiya Vaishnava argument to establish bhakti as a rasa, whereas Madhusudana Saraswati Swamiji's argument to establish bhakti as a rasa is a an Advaita Vedanta argument. Now, if there is, say, a film, bhakti movie, and in India, that bhakti movies are such a commercially hit movies also. People go there, sit among the audience, they get spirit possessed, they get tears, they get ecstasy. And some of the theater owners organize puja also in the front room of the movie hall. They arrange the Venkateshwara Vigraha or Krishna Vigraha or whatever is the main character in the film. They organize it. And the audience do puja and go inside the movie. What is that they are getting in the form of these ecstasy, the tears and all that? What is the theory that can be applied? This experience of ecstasy in the form of tears and all that can only be explained in the using the word rasa, and because it's a bhakti theme inside the narrative of the film, it can be called bhakti rasa. And if you have to explain theoretically what is happening, for example, a film institute is there, the filmmakers have to be explained what is that it's happening in a bhakti movie. uh, then currently the film institutes are not equipped at all, because film institutes currently are all Akira Kurosawa institutes. They teach only the art film making, all uh, Russian imported models and theories, and Indian film institutes don't teach how Indian audience are responding to the Indian themes like bhakti, vairagya, and so on in the movies. The Indian Film Institute student is learning theories about how to make an art movie which has no songs, no dances, nothing, commercially a big flop. The film will be removed from the halls the next day. And the commercially hit movie which can run for 1 year in the same hall, and all the Hindu devotees watch that film, it has no explanation. There is no training. The film institute student doesn't learn any of these things, either how to appreciate this or how to analyze this or how to make such a movie is not done there. For such things, they need Bhakti Rasa training, Bhakti Rasa theoretical analysis. If Madhusudana Saraswati or Rupa Goswami were not there, if they did not create this theoretical argument, today, if we want to introduce this into a film institute, we would not have had any opportunity at all. As if they knew that a time like this was going to come when there would be a great need for teaching the theory of bhakti with such rigor. Both Rupa Goswami and Madhusudana Saraswati Swami, they established bhakti as rasa in their own ways from Gaudiya Vaishnava and Advaita Vedanta points of view. And people have, nowadays, if you watch YouTube, Dashashloki and other Vairagya stotras have become so popular. If you see the number of views for any YouTube video, the maximum number of views are coming for Bhakti YouTube channels only, where stotras are uploaded, kirtanas are uploaded, bhajans are uploaded. Such channels only are getting the maximum number of views. Some of them are getting million or 1.5 million views. For example, Dashashloki, if it is rendered musically, it is uploaded and it is getting million views. What happens is the general audience, they enjoy it for its Vairagya invoking music in it. But they get these doubts, this whether it is this Dashashloki or the other stotras very similar to that, they have this word na, 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 na. This is not that, this is not that, this is not that. I am not this, I am not that. And towards the end, as a refrain, we are getting Shiva Kevaloham. If somebody doesn't explain what is this Shivaha Kevala Aham, people may get an impression that, oh, it is saying that we are all Shiva. With Advaita Vedanta, this is the big problem. That people say that you are the God or I am the God, and when statements, Mahavakyas like Aham Brahmasmi are used in certain movies, actually they say they use this expression for a villain also. The villain says Aham Brahmasmi uh, as an expression of arrogance, as an expression of ahankara. So the big problem that comes is that they completely reduce it to the level of saying that Nagaraj is God, or some Yellama is goddess, or Pullama is God. Uh, but what is actually God? Atman Atma Viveka. That is the theme of Viveka Chudamani. What is Atman? What is Anatman? Because there is in this Viveka, Atman and Anatman are also there. This Dashashloki is enlisting Anatman. What is not Atman is being listed there. And Atman, in the Atman Atma Viveka, Atman part is being, in the end, It is saying that is Atman part is Shivaha, that is Kevala, and that is what I am. So this distinction is not given. If you have to do Indian knowledge systems, if you have to explain the YouTube popular Dashashloki to common public, you have to have a theoretical background for it. But if I do it, it's not authentic. If it is coming from somebody like Madhusudana Saraswati, it is authentic. Because he is such a vast scholar of Advaita Vedanta, he has exhausted the study of Advaita Vedanta. And if he gives a commentary to this, that is authentic. But usually what happens is great scholars neglect such works. Because it is 10 shlokas. What is there in this? And just 10 shlokas, and it is some word is getting repeated. Na this, na this, na this, na that. But interestingly, what happens is such a great scholar like Sureshwar Acharya, none other than him wrote Dakshinamurti Stotra Vyakhyan, a Vairagya Stotra. Similarly, Madhusudana Saraswati, who has got a great regard for Sureshwar Acharya, he too wrote Siddhanta Bindu for the Dasashlaki. Today we are going to have a scholarly Shastric talk by Vachaspati Shastri Joshi ji about Siddhanta Bindu only. With such an understanding only, you can explain what is this popular YouTube video of Dashashloki, it is communicating. To the audience only can handle only that way. And the ideas like self and soul, all these things have created a lot of confusion. After Christianity has come, the word soul has become so popular, and people are translating Atman as soul. But if you have to create the right understanding of Atman based Indic knowledge systems, by translating Atman as self, the difference between self and soul has to be articulated. Soul may come very close to Sukshma Sharira in the Vedantic terminology. And people use words like salvation, which is again a Christian term. Moksha is not salvation of Christianity. Liberation, which is the English translation quite often used for moksha, is not the same as the Christian salvation. All these clarifications are to be brought if proper Indic knowledge system establishment has to be done today. Proper understanding of the concept of self and how it can be connected, for example, in the contemporary studies of sociology, for example, there is self in critical social studies also. And the word self is used in psychological studies, deep psychology studies also, where they use words like self-actualization. And in Jungian dynamic analytical psychology also, there is something called self. How they connect to this self, Atman, how Atman connects to the self in critical social studies, sociology, and how Atman connects to uh, the psychological Atman. All such things can be understood only when you go to works like Advaita Siddhi, Siddhanta Bindu, and other works where such rigorous analysis by Madhusudana Saraswati explaining all the logic using the Navya Nyaya categories, rigorous micro level meticulous categories of Navya Nyaya. He explains in Advaita Siddhi what Atman actually is, and in Siddhanta Bindu, what Atman is and what Atman is not is very clearly explained. So, on the basis of that, if self is clearly established And then if self is connected to the remaining selves, like the sociological self or psychological self, then only the contemporary Indian knowledge system studies inside the university system can be successful. Otherwise, unless such a churning happens, unless such an accuracy is brought, all the present superficial translations using words like soul and salvation, which are blind borrowings from Christian terminology, they will completely muddle the Indian knowledge system studies inside the university system. So, as if Madhusudana Saraswati Swami knew that such a day will come in 2025 when Indian knowledge system studies are going to be there, and they have to be helped by taking even small stotra, just a 10 shloka stotra, which is usually neglected by as a non-shastra type of stotra, but somebody paying attention to that is noteworthy. And he writes this Siddhanta Bheda. And people have rightly identified that the way Appaya Dikshita brought Shivadvaita, Madhusudana Saraswati Swami brought Krishnadvaita. He was a great devotee of Krishna, and Vishnu Bhakti was very prominent in his thinking. And he wrote even Bhakti Stotras, and not just Bhagavad Bhakti Rasayana, he contributed other books on Bhakti also. So, such a polymath scholar writing such a big number of works is also our good luck, that he has contributed all the books responding to his times, requirements of his times, which are very close to our times. So these are all very useful for us now to do contemporary applications for the connecting of these shastras to shastric ideas to the contemporary requirements of social sciences and humanities. Inside humanities, Alankara Shastra is very, very prominent. And inside Alankara Shastra, Rasa is already recognized by uh, even the Indology professor who calls Sanskrit toxic and Ramayana as othering and all such bad words he uses for Sanskrit and Ramayana. Even such a professor keeps saying that rasa is the biggest contribution from Indian Alankara Shastra to the whole world. There is no word like rasa useful for talking about the ecstasy that we get from enjoying the performing arts, including the films. There is no such word. It has been agreed. And within that, uh, contributing a new rasa theory, Bhakti Rasa, is very useful for the humanities departments, literature departments, uh, all over the world. So, by contributing all these areas, Madhusudana Saraswati Swamigal has laid a very good background for Indian knowledge system studies. Today, all the Shastra scholars are going to present the talks from their own point of view, from a Shastric point of view, because Indic Academy is an organization focusing on Indian knowledge system studies. I wanted to focus on this aspect that may not be covered by the Shastra scholars, who, as Shastra scholars, will be presenting the original Shastra in its original form. We are going to have Vidwan Dr. K.S. Maheshwaran, who is one of the leading figures, luminaries of Shastra today. And later we are going to have Vachaspati Joshi Shastri ji, with Vidwan P.V. Raja Raman ji, Vignesh Chandrasekharan ji, Vidwan Karthik Sharma ji, and Dr. Niranjan Sahaji, Rajaram Venkatramani ji, Ganesh Ishwar Bhatt ji from Shringeri, and Vidwan Manigandan Iyer ji, Vidwan Abhinand Sharma ji, a great lineup of Shastra scholars. And we have Aditi Banerjee ji, who is a contemporary scholar. Actually, even Niranjan Sahaji he is on both sides. He is a Sabyasachi on both sides, traditional side and modern side. Aditi Banerjee ji is an attorney in United States, very closely associated with Indian Academy, and even she is going to contribute a talk on Gudartha Deepika, on the Bhagavad Gita Bhashya by Madhusudana Saraswati, on Jnana, Bhakti and Yoga. And in the later part of the symposium, many talks are going to focus on the Bhakti contributions of Madhusudana Saraswati. In the beginning, we are going to have talks on the Vairagya part and the Vedanta part of Madhusudana Saraswati. So with this, I welcome you all to this symposium of Indica.
Thank
Sridhar.
you. Yes, thank you very much, Nagaraji, for a very wonderful and insightful uh, introductory comments on Sri Madhusudana Saraswati's contributions to contemporary IKS. I mean, the topic itself is very, innovative, I would say. I think this, what you shared, strengthens, reinforces the idea that our Shastra knowledge is eternal and it can be contextualized to various situations as and when new uh, avenues arises, new changes happens in the society. We can take these teachings and reformulate it to our needs. So thank you for a very wonderful and putting the framework out for this symposium.